Marissa Peer once said, "Your words and thoughts are powerful, and your mind is always listening." Now, these are really wise words as we're talking about how to build unshakable self confidence. What is self confidence? Well, we all know it when we see it. When we see somebody who walks into the room and who is confident, charismatic, we know it immediately. Did you know that 1 in 5 people have actually lost the opportunity at a new job because of lack of self confidence? And if I'm being honest, I think that number is probably a lot higher. That's just of people who self reported it. But people who are self confident can have more in this world, get more, achieve more, and feel better about themselves. But why is confidence so hard for pretty much everybody? Well, like if you have been watching my videos, you know that I really believe that the game is kind of rigged against us. We're through school, through social conditioning, we're built to not have confidence in ourselves, but we are leveling the playing field. So let's get into it. So, what is confidence? I think it's the first thing that we need to address. Confidence is actually internal trust. It's the ability to trust yourself unconditionally, no matter what. So that no matter what happens, you know that you will actually be okay, or you will actually be able to produce the results that you want in your life. Now, that may be different than the idea that you had of confidence before, because we look at confidence as somebody who just, is really full of themselves, or they walk into the room where they can pretty much make anything happen. But those people trust themselves. Why do we not trust ourselves? We don't trust ourselves because we're born into a system that basically tells us that we can't fail, and that if we fail as people. But that is the craziest thing because we don't learn that way. Human beings actually learn from our failures. That's a big statement, but it's the truth. If you have kids, or if you've ever even seen a kid, and you for sure were a kid, when you were crawling and you started to stand up so that you could take your first steps, you probably fell down over and over and over and over again because babies fall when they first try and stand up. If that baby said, "Oh no, I can't, I'm just a failure. I can't try anymore. I can't try to get up," you and I would not be walking around right now. You learn something from every single failure. And that is a really important piece of learning how to build confidence in yourself unshakably. Because if you don't look at every single failure as an opportunity for a lesson, you start to think of it as you are that failure, but you aren't. Failure is a very natural and very important part of learning. The only real failure happens when you don't end up learning from that circumstance. So let's say something very bad happens to you and you don't learn anything from it. You just say, "Oh, it's somebody else's fault. It's absolutely not my fault. Those jerks, they didn't give me the job. They didn't, this person didn't want to be with me," whatever it was. And you don't take real stock of what that lesson might have been. Could it have been, for example, that you weren't confident enough? Whatever it was, you take that and you decide, "I want to learn whatever this has to teach me so that I can take that and have success next time or the time after that." So that is the biggest thing, because if we all think that we're failures because we've failed a bunch of times in life, we're not going to be able to trust ourselves. And remember, real confidence is about trusting yourself. So, how do we build that trust in ourselves? So, a couple of things. The first is that I'm going to give you a technique that works if you do it. And you have to probably do it over and over again. Because how many times have you said something negative to yourself? Or how many times have you attached yourself to your failure? If I ask you, when was the last time you screwed up? You could probably tell me a million times that you screwed up and recently. But if I ask you how many times you've succeeded recently at something, you probably would downplay it, or you probably wouldn't be able to tell me any of the times that you've succeeded. But the fact that you're on this live stream or watching this video in itself is a success. You are somebody who wants more confidence and more trust in themselves. And I know that because you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't. We don't think of things like that as successes because we think of successes as only the big, giant things, the big milestones, the $1 million businesses, or, now even the bar is hugely high with the Jeff Bezoses and the Elon Musks. And those are the confident guys. Those are the people that have real confidence because they've achieved extraordinary things. But extraordinary things can have different definitions depending on who you are and what is your authentic expression in this world. What is meant for you to express in this world? So we compare ourselves to other people and other people's successes and the things that other people have that we feel we should have. Well, but what if that's not in your best interest to have that? The reality of a lot of these people, for example, Elon Musk slept on the floor of his factory for 3 years while he was embroiled in all kinds of issues with the government, with the SEC, with everybody who's trying to come after him nonstop. Look at both sides of that equation and ask yourself, is that what I really want for my life? The answer is probably not. You probably have some other thing or many things that you're here to express that are very different than the ones that we see in mainstream media all the time, touted as successes. So, the first thing is you have to actually figure out what it is that you want for your own life, not what everybody else wants for you, but what you actually want. So, once you actually take a look, and this is not an overnight process, any type of process like this is designed to be lifelong because you're here to do what you're here to do for your whole life. A really easy way to start figuring out what you actually want with your life is look at the experiences in your life. This is a wonderful, this is actually one of my absolute favorite processes that I walk people through. I do one-on-one client training if you would like to do that. But this is the process. I want you to take a couple of photos from your childhood and ones from different ages. Let's say 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. So just take these, 3 pictures or pictures from times in your life where a lot was happening, whether it was positive or negative. And I want you to look and see in your eyes, because even as kids, you can see when a kid is struggling, or you can see when a kid is really alive and lit up. I want you to look at those pictures and see when your eyes were lit up, when you could really see the brightness in your eyes in these pictures. Or were you back behind your eyes? Were you kind of recessed? Was that spirit not really in the front of your eyes? And so for each of these 3 pictures, I want you to ask yourself what was going on during the time in your life where there was brightness in your eyes, and what was going on when there wasn't. And your eyes were more, your spirit was more sort of in the back of you. I want you to ask yourself those questions. What was there? What was happening in your life when you had a lot of brightness and shine in your eyes? And what was happening when there was a lot of dullness in your eyes? And I want you to write those things down. And I want you to start to look for opportunities. So let's say, for example, there was a lot of brightness in your eyes when you were playing sports as a kid. Let's say you loved soccer as a kid, or football, depending on what country you're in. So let's say you absolutely loved soccer. Well, what about it? Because you're probably not going to go be a pro soccer player, which is a mistake that a lot of people make. But there are elements of soccer that you can bring back into your life right now. And frankly, maybe it is to go play soccer at, some kind of recreational league. And that might be a successful expression of who you are. But find the commonalities, find the things about soccer that actually really lit you up. Was it that you were exercising all the time? Was it the camaraderie with your teammates? Do you remember the times that you spent with your teammates? Was it feeling like you knew what you were doing and you could kick that goal in? Whatever it is, start looking for more opportunities to bring those things into your life. Let's say it was that one of the biggest parts of loving playing soccer for you was that you loved being with your teammates. Do you have a group of people right now that you feel like you belong to? Do you have a group of people right now that you feel like your teammates with, whether at work, at home with your romantic partner, whoever it is? Do you feel that way? And if not, that is something that you are meant to bring into your life. And then the same goes for the times when in your eyes there was dullness. What was going on? So let's say that that was a time that you moved to a new school and you didn't know anybody and everybody was new and you didn't really fit in. So that was a time when you felt really isolated. So you know that being isolated is a problem for you. It's something that doesn't work with the core of who you are. So take a look and write those things down. And then always ask yourself, do I want more of this or do I want less of this? Do I want more team and camaraderie with teammates and friends? Or do I want more isolation? You want less isolation and more camaraderie with teammates and friends. Okay, so now that you have some sense of what you actually want, not what other people want for you, but what you actually want, now you know how to get it. Now you know how to decide whether you've succeeded or you failed at things. Now it's not based on somebody else's opinion or somebody else's decision for your life. Now it's you deciding what you want for your life. This is one of the best exercises you could possibly do. That is, I want you to take a moment, just a moment to yourself, and I want you to either get your laptop and get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down 15 accomplishments that you have achieved in your life. And I don't care in what area they are. And you have to do all 15. You cannot skim out and only do 5 and then say, "Oh, well, I haven't really accomplished anything." Yes, you have. I don't care who you are, and I don't care what size those accomplishments are. You must write them down. You must write them down and you must read them to yourself. Because the reality is that we are cruel to ourselves in our own minds. Now, thankfully, that's something that I have worked very hard on, and my own mind for the most part, because we're all still working and we're all still healing. My mind, for the most part, is actually a wonderful place to me. But it didn't used to be. So we are typically far more cruel to each other or to ourselves than we are kind. There's this saying that goes, nobody can be as cruel to you as yourself. So anything that anybody says probably doesn't compare to the stuff you've said about yourself to yourself. But we have to balance that out. And part of the way that you get that voice to actually calm down and be good to you is you show that voice all the times you really did succeed, all the times you achieved the things that you wanted to achieve, or you even achieved things that you couldn't imagine having achieved. So you take and you write those things down, 15 of them, all 15 of them. What this does is it retrains you on who you actually are. Because to you, for the most part, you probably think you're the negative stuff, but you're all of these victories and many, many more also. Your mind, your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts are powerful. Your words are powerful. And remember, your mind is always listening. It's like the story of the two wolves. So there's a story that, it's been around for a while, but it illustrates this really well. And so it's a grandfather and a grandson. And the grandfather is telling the grandson the story of the two wolves who live inside you. And these two wolves, one of them is self-deprecation and anger and fear and pain and self-loathing. And the other is confidence, courage, compassion, charisma. And the little boy asks the grandfather, because the grandfather says, well, these two wolves, they're always at war with each other. And the little boy asks his grandfather, he says, which wolf wins? And his grandfather says, the wolf that you feed. And it's the truth. If you continue to feed the negative talk in your mind, if you continue to listen to other people telling you how you should live your life, that's the wolf that wins. But I can tell you, that's not the wolf you probably want to win. The wolf you probably want to win is the one where you really understand yourself. And so you have to start building in your mind the times that you have succeeded. And if you have to read this list to yourself every morning and every evening and 1,000 times a day in between, start with every morning and every evening. But just do a quick read through and you can retrain yourself as to what you pay attention to. And here's the kicker, you have to. If you don't retrain yourself as to what you're paying attention to, the other wolf wins and you don't have the confidence. And you know that the people who have the most confidence in life are the people who get the most in life. It's just the way humans work. And that may seem unfair, but the reality is that you can say it's unfair all day long and it's still the truth. But the truth also is that you can build your own self-confidence. You don't need anybody to do that. So make your list. 15 things, do not skimp. And if you want to do more, do more. And for one entire week, just read it to yourself. You don't have to tell anybody else if you don't want to, although bonus points if you do. Read it to yourself morning and evening and see if your mind starts to change about what you're capable of. Because I'll bet that you're actually capable of substantially more than you think you are. Anyway, thank you guys for being with me on this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye for now.